Shruti Sharma?
Yes.
Yes, please take a seat. So, Shruti, tell the panel about yourself, your academic qualifications, your work experience, if any, and your main hobbies, very briefly.
Okay, sir. So my name is Shruti Sharma. I have been a student of history. I was born in Bijnor, educated in New Delhi. I completed my graduation from St. Stephen's College, and currently I've just started my post-graduation in sociology from Delhi School of Economics. And I am constantly like to learn new things and explore new cultures through language, food, books, and cinema. And I'd like to see myself as an optimist.
So, Shruti, uh, you are a graduate, and you have done MA also in sociology.
I've
Delhi
just
School of
started my
Economics.
MA.
Sorry?
I've just started my MA.
You have started. Oh, you have started this. Delhi School. So, with the Stephens, in your background, and with the Delhi School of Economics, both are so internationally known institutions. I do not know what you had in mind initially, but why civil services?
So there are a number of reasons why I want to pursue this profession. Firstly of all, sir, I believe that I have had a certain privileged background, and therefore I always wanted to do something in which I could give back to society in some way and bring about some sort of change in people around me and give other people an opportunity to have the sort of privileges that I have had, sir. Secondly, I believe, sir, that on a personal level, I believe the diversity and the scope that these services provide can be an avenue for great personal growth and an avenue for learning a lot, which it would provide me, sir.
Okay. So, Shruti, you are from Delhi. Now, how the safety of women, the perception about safety of women, has changed over the last, say, about 10 years, ever since Nirbhaya happened?
Yes, sir. So the Nirbhaya incident was a turning point in terms of the global discussion that happened around Delhi regarding women's safety. So, in a sense, it was a turning point, and a very bad incident set the precedent for a lot of good steps that were taken post that time period. So, a number of steps have been taken since that time period by the union government and the Delhi government in that regard, ranging from the Nirbhaya Fund to certain steps by the Delhi government to increase CCTV coverage and reduce dark spaces, to also increasing scope for better mobility for women, be it in the space of women marshals in the buses at that point. So I think a certain progress has taken since that time period.
Shruti, have you heard of a matter going on, Hindu minority status?
Yes, sir. So I just recently
What is
read
the
in the
issue,
news.
if you can just throw some light?
So, in the limited knowledge that I have currently, sir, about the topic, it is about the authority of the state versus the center in deciding the status of minorities with respect to religion. So there have been certain cases, as far as I recall, sir, such as the TMA Pi case, which talked about whether the minority status can be decided on a state level in terms of religious minorities, or it can only be decided in terms of the central government. So I think that is the issue.
No, but this is primarily related to Hindus being given minority status in those states where they are in minority. Presently, even if suppose in the case of, say, Punjab or JNK, right,
Yes.
where Hindus are in minority, but the actual minority status is given to those who are in majority. So a PIL is in Supreme Court.
Yes, sir.
The center has asked Supreme Court to consider this, that we would like to give minority status to Hindus in those states which I have mentioned. Now, since I have already given you an idea, what are your views about it?
So, the Constitution of India does protect the status of minorities in India as a whole. And so I believe if for certain purposes and for certain positive reasons, the Supreme Court does decide to give minority status in a particular state to reduce atrocities against certain sections within the state, it can be a positive move.
Viren sir?
Question, I'll take it on. You see, the Supreme Court does it. Supreme Court in no way is in a position to stop atrocities. It will only adjudicate a matter in view of the constitutional scheme. What does the Constitution provide? So, how do you think it would stop atrocities on minorities, religious minorities at that?
So if it can provide in the future a certain safeguards that the minority status can provide and certain special steps that can be taken for minorities in a particular state.
Can you give any example when Supreme Court has provided safeguards, laid down safeguards? You heard of Vishakha's case?
Yes.
Okay. You've been a student of history.
Yes, sir.
Who do you think, whom would you rate as a foremost historian of the later Mughals period?
So
Who are later Mughals?
so I would say the period after the so-called fall of the Mughals or the decline of the Mughals, so post Aurangzeb, so would possibly be regarded
So you
as the
think
later Mughals.
beyond Aurangzeb are the later Mughals?
Yes, sir. So which are not considered so high and mighty in the course of their achievements.
Okay. Recently, there has been a talk. Certain people feel that there is a need to review and rewrite India's history. What is your take on that?
So I personally believe that the writing and rewriting of history has been a continuous part and parcel of history since time and forever. And I believe rewriting of history is always a positive step. But at the same time, I believe this rewriting should be based on certain facts that history recognizes and the range of sources that history as a discipline recognizes. So if the rewriting is done in that regard, it can only lead to more positive debate and discussion in the long term.
What do you understand by Warsaw Pact?
So the Warsaw Pact was a pact signed in 1955 in the context of the Cold War, led by the Soviet Union. It was a security pact formed in the context of the formation of the NATO and an opposition to the NATO, sir.
I have another question from history, on history. What was standstill agreement?
Sir, I can't recollect at this point.
Okay. In your resume, I found that you took part in parliamentary debates. Now, how are the at school or college level debates different than parliamentary debates?
Sir, in college there are a number of formats of debate we participated in, ranging from parliamentary debate to conventional debating to turncoat style of debating, and there were a lot of variations there. The structure of the debate is a 3-on-3 format. So while certain positions were the same, such as opposition, leader of opposition, there was a whip speech as well. But I believe the parliamentary debates at school were on a particular topic. They were more structured and within a certain time limit, sir. As compared to parliamentary debates in the parliament, I do feel that sometimes they are quite long and are not in a point-to-point format as we discussed in school and college.
One of your pastime or hobby is exploring word cinema. Now, what is exploring word cinema? What does it involve? How do you explore it?
So the reason I chose the word explore is because I am no authority on world cinema, and I like to see and look at movies as they come to me, and as one leads to the other. So ranging from Iranian cinema to cinema of Hong Kong.
You are not a student of languages. So other than Hindi and English, what language do you know?
Sir, I have tried to learn reading and writing Urdu, so I know the Urdu script. I like to learn a few phrases here and there from my friends who are from different states.
So you will explore world cinema from subtitles, is it?
Sir, I believe world cinema is more than just dialogue. The very vocabulary of filmmaking and cinema, I believe, does not necessarily need language to convey it. Sir. So I think that is my interest in world cinema. And subtitles, obviously, sir, help me understand the story better.
Have you heard the term soft power?
Yes, sir.
What does it imply?
So soft power is usually used in opposition to hard power, where hard power talks about a certain military might. Soft power, on the other hand, is the influence of culture and other aspects in increasing the might or the influence of a certain country or power over other powers. So cinema can also be one example of
Any other illustration of soft power in context of India?
So India's cultural outreaches, for example, yoga and international celebration of the International Yoga Day across the world can also be an example of India's soft power.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Shruti, you are from your home district is Bijnor. So tell us something about Bijnor.
Sir, Bijnor is a district located in western UP, sir. The river Ganga flows through it, so it is a very fertile state. Sugarcane being one of the major crops of Bijnor, and therefore sugar mills and the sugar industry is also very well developed, with 5 of the most largest sugar mills located here. In terms of historical importance, the place Vidurkoti is associated with Bijnor. There are a number of prominent personalities from Bijnor, ranging from Vishal Bharadwaj in cinema to poets like Dushyant Kumar, to historical figures like Abul Fazl associated with Akbar sir. So it is truly a very rich.
What product has been assigned to Bijnor district as a part of ODOP scheme of government of UP?
Sir, woodwork and wooden craft, especially associated with Nagina, is assigned to Bijnors.
Okay. So what is this Amrit Mahotsav? We keep hearing about Amrit Mahotsav. What is this Amrit Mahotsav? Now the whole country is celebrating Amrit Mahotsav.
Sir, the government of India is celebrating 75 years of India's independence through Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, where we are celebrating the Indian culture through performing arts, through our handloom, through celebrating our history. So various steps have been taken under this, ranging from establishing tribal museums to organizing certain cultural events to organizing quizzes related to India's culture on online platforms as well.
Okay. So basically we are celebrating 75th year of India's independence. So even after now 75 years of independence and so much of progress on various fronts, still we have a good number of people who are having severe problem of poverty. As per recent data of Niti Aayog and even the international poverty check, we have, I think the number of course varies around 7% to 12% from different sources. What could be the reason why we have not been able to tackle this problem?
So, I believe that a lot of progress has happened since the time period of India's independence, where close to 60 to 70% people were below the poverty line, to currently today, where close to 20% are considered according to the Tendulkar committee report. So a certain progress has taken place and the progress is ongoing, sir. But simply because of the huge challenges associated with such a large country, with such a huge population, and the over-dependence on agriculture to a certain context, I believe has been responsible. But government steps are ongoing to reducing these hurdles by taking steps in the realm of industry, in the tertiary sector and other spaces.
What is the current size of Indian economy in US dollars terms, approximately?
I can't recollect the exact.
Okay. So we have set a target of 5 trillion US dollars economy by 2024-25. Currently we are at around 3 plus. Do you think we'll be able to go somewhere nearby by that time? Is there any, what measure do you think can government of India take to really give a big boost to our growth?
Yes, sir. So I do believe that I am an optimist. So I would say that we can surely reach this level. Certain obstacles are there, especially in context of the COVID pandemic and certain repercussions of the COVID pandemic, which have been on the global economy as a whole. But personally, sir, and as per the Niti Aayog report as well, infrastructure is one area where we do need to spend a lot of money in. So the Niti Aayog has said that $4.5 trillion should be spent in infrastructure creation till 2030. So that is one area we need to work on and are working on. Secondly, sir, is the area of industry and manufacturing, which the government has also given a lot of importance to, especially the PLI schemes and Assemble in India programs, which we are encouraging. MSME is also one sector in the manufacturing sector. Through various Mudra schemes, we are pushing forward. Thirdly, sir, is agriculture, because more than 50% of our population is dependent on agriculture, and unless and until we tap on that front and diversify and add more value-added products to agriculture, that can't be done. So in that context, giving importance to food processing industry is important, and bridging the gap between the farmer and the market through technology is also one step.
So what is the scheme for basically promoting this food processing industry launched by the government of India?
So there is this scheme, I can't recollect the name, but it
PM Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana. So in your opinion, which is the very significant public policy initiative in the last couple of years by government of India, which has done really, in your opinion, has done really well?
Sir, I think in the light of the COVID pandemic, the PM Ayushman Bharat Yojana has been very instrumental in expanding the public health infrastructure across the country and providing affordable healthcare to most sections of the population.
So in your hobbies, you have mentioned practicing yoga. So you do it every day, or?
I try to.
Okay. So recently, one very important development has taken place with respect to traditional medicine. Are you aware? Last 1 week only, and quite something to do with WHO, the traditional medicines.
I'm sorry, sir.
Because we are establishing the first WHO center on traditional medicine. It has been approved. Okay. So now, as civil servant, what do you think that you will be, with your knowledge, with your experience, with your education, how do you think you will be fitting into that view of civil servant?
Sir, as per my background, I feel that my background in history can help me understand present social realities in a more wholesome way, and therefore solve them using that background of history and the social sciences, sir. So firstly that. Secondly, sir, I believe I think I do have an ethic of dedication towards my work, and personalized work ethic, where I'm able to stick to deadlines and perform work in an organized manner. So that I think can help me, sir. Thirdly, I believe, sir, that I like to work in teams, and I have good interpersonal relationships with people around me, and I have been told so. So that also I think can be an asset.
So have you any experience of working in a team in your college or university days?
Yes, sir. I was in school. I was in the student executive, and I was appointed as the secretary of cultural affairs.
Okay.
So we organized all school events and participated in and organized all the events during the entire school year.
Thank you.
Shruti, you are a student of history
Yes, sir.
and you have sociology and studying sociology. What was your optional paper in the exam?
It was history, sir.
It was history.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What stand has India taken on the Ukraine war?
So Ukraine, sir, India has taken multiple stand on the Ukraine war. It has taken a very assertive stand in first and foremost condemning the violence perpetrated by both sides. So, and it says that it is bound by the UN Charter and stands for UN Charter and territorial integrity and sovereignty of any nation. It has also been talking to both sides and arguing for and asking for a position of dialogue and diplomacy to solve the war and a complete cessation of conflicts.
What is India's voting record in the UN Security Council and General Assembly?
Sir, I'm sorry, sir. In the context of the Ukraine war,
On Ukraine.
so India has abstained from any resolutions by either of the two sides condemning the other. Sir.
Is abstaining meaningful, or does it mean that doesn't mean anything?
Sir, in the context of India, I think it is a meaningful stand, and it helps India maintain its strategic autonomy on the issue and upholding its national interest in both cases, at the same time providing itself an avenue for talking to both sides simultaneously and not antagonizing any of them.
Do you think India's relations with Russia, global relations with Russia, are also a factor in this decision? Abstaining?
Sir, I believe that India has categorically condemned the violence that is happening. So that is a constant thing which has led to this decision. But at the same time, it has also abstained in the context of making sure that it does not antagonize both sides and at the same time maintains its strategic interests. So.
Why is the US so keen to expand NATO to include Ukraine? Why?
So, in my limited understanding, I would say simply in terms of the conflict with Russia and the antagonism with Russia and USA has been on since the Cold War, and simply in terms of increasing its sphere of influence and is something that the US has in mind, especially after the Crimea annexation in 2014 as well.
What did Biden say in his speech in Poland? He came out with the real intention to, what was his real intention in extending NATO, including Ukraine?
Sir, I'm not aware about this exact
He said
statement.
we want to change the regime in Moscow.
Okay.
Regime change.
Okay.
And Russia is the real time. Okay, second question. You must have read about the partition of India.
Yes, sir.
In your view, who was responsible for partition of India? Because different people are saying different things. Some are saying Jinnah was responsible. Some of our own stalwarts are saying Nehru and Patel were responsible. In your view, who was responsible?
So, So the unique thing about history is that we never get very direct answers in any case. So there is always a conflict of interest. And I personally believe it was a sum of many things together which led to the partition. And it was especially the political developments which happened in 1946 and 1947 due to the political violence and the violence which happened in Bengal and Punjab during that time, starting from the Direct Action Day, as well as the role of certain politicians such as Jinnah, and the political mobilization that happened after that, which ultimately led to the partition, along with the role of the British governments.
Who was the person or the party responsible for demanding the partition of India?
Sir, it was the Muslim League led by Jinnah.
Masters in sociology. Okay. So tell me, is an individual shaped by society?
Yes, sir. Sir, I do believe that an individual, right from his or her birth, is constantly shaped by the society he or she lives in.
Okay. Okay. What is your view on taxation on digital currency?
So this was a step that was taken in the context of the current budget, and where cryptocurrencies have come under taxation, sir. Sir, I think it is a good step in terms of bringing into ambit and increasing a source of revenue for the state for a reality that is increasing around the world, and so it is an area which was not under the ambit of state taxation. So I think it is a positive step that this area has been brought under taxation.
Okay. You do not seem to be very keen on joining police services. Any particular reason?
Sir, I would like to join any services where I have been provided an opportunity, sir. But since I was provided these options, as compared to the other services above it, I personally feel that I am temperamentally more suited for the other services, and I've talked to other friends, and it also involves arms training, and that I would personally be less comfortable with, but I would be overjoyed if I get to perform in the services, and I would do it to the best of my abilities.
Thank you. I pass on to Chairman, sir.
Shruti, we have asked quite a few questions
Yes,
so far. Any question which we may not, any topic which we may not have covered, or some topic which may be of your choice, you would like to ask the last question on the subject of your choice?
The poetry is something that I
So
really-
poetry, tell me which kind of poetry you recite or write, English, Hindi?
Sir, I like to read Hindi, English, as well as Urdu poetry, sir. But one of my favorite points recently is Sarveshwar Dayal Saxena, sir.
So tell me, how have poetries helped in the India's freedom movement?
The poetry is a very potent tool in raising the motivation of people and raising the sentiments of people. So poetry has been a very important part of the freedom struggle as well. One immediate example that comes to my mind is Faiz Ahmad Faiz Subh Azadi, which was in association with the freedom struggle and the partition specifically.
So thank you, Shruti. So Shruti, we have good 10 minutes for feedback. Our strong point is that we give, so long as you say that I don't need anything more to know, we will not let you go. Okay, so give your own assessment about how your performance.
Sir, I think my performance was okay, sir. There were a few questions that I feel that I could have answered
Like?
better. So there was a certain question about Ukraine and Russia, where I felt I was repeating myself, so that I
But
thought,
we didn't feel it.
okay.
What else?
So there were a few things I couldn't recollect, like the standstill agreement and things that I think I should have answered, like the Biden speech, as well as a factual question asked by Sir. So there were certain things which I should have known about the yoga and
Okay.
WHO, which I couldn't recollect at that.
Right. So Shruti, the panel's assessment is, one or two questions not answering, not knowing the facts, really doesn't matter. Right? Basically, a test of personality rather than your knowledge at this point in time. Now you were excellent. Your performance was very good, and I would say flawless. But it's always good to identify a few loopholes. Some of them you have identified yourself. So not referring to the answers that you could not give, especially knowledge related, but I will certainly point out your little weakness on the current affairs.
Yes.
You had not read the newspaper of yesterday, today, and that is why you did not know much about the Hindu minority status matter. Otherwise, you would have, just like other answers, you would have very fluently, you would have answered this.
Yes.
Number two, we were slightly amazed that when the esteemed member asked you about the how much $1 trillion economy
Yes.
India is, you were just blank. And when he again asked another related question, then you were, you were so fluent and thorough in all the matters, So what made you just keep quiet on that question?
Sir, I'm not very good with the facts, and so
No.
I think I need to brush up on.
No, that's okay. So my advice to you is generally the facts are not asked, right? However, certain macro indicators you're supposed to know. अब कल आपसे कोई पूछे जीडीपी का क्या है, सर वो फैक्ट है ये, तो फिर ऐसे तो एवरीथिंग इज अ फैक्ट. सो अब फैक्ट में होगा कि कुतुब मीनार किसने बनाया, ताजमहल किसने बनाया और कितने वर्कर्स लगे थे ताजमहल में, ये तो नहीं पूछेंगे. बट दीज आर broad indicators, inflation, GDP, how economy has gone down up to what was the negative GDP that we registered during the COVID and all. These are things which you are supposed to know. So my advice to you is, when on such a question you were asked and you did not know exact the number, don't keep quiet. Sir, I am not able to, as you had said in many other questions, I am not able to recall. But you knew about $5 trillion economy. You knew.
Yes.
Immediately उसके बाद कहिए कि sir, I am not aware exactly how much we have recorded this year. However, I am very much aware of the fact that India is aiming to become a $5 trillion economy. Initially, it was to be accomplished by the year 2024-25, and that's all. Then he can ask you. In fact, the basic idea about asking the question was not to test your knowledge as to how much is the.
Yes.
It was basically to know, because if you are not able to answer the first question, he need not go into the details. No point in embarrassing the candidate by asking a question again and again जिसके बारे में आपने पहले ही surrender कर दिया. So have you understood?
Yes, sir.
If you know a little bit about it, you can always say कि sir, I am sorry, exact, I do not know. Then he may say, just guess. Now, that also would not be done. But even you cannot say somebody, I was told in the mock interview that you will not ask such a question. You can't. उसका जवाब तो देना ही है. कई बार hazards भी आ जाते हैं.
Yes, sir.
But there are certain norms, rules, but there are certain hazards, which are away from the norms and rules that you have to be prepared for. Thirdly, your first question about giving back to the world. You mentioned 2 points.
Yes.
Giving back what I have accomplished, the privilege. Now, what privilege? You are just 24 years old. अभी तुम्हें दुनिया ने दिया क्या है? right? You can say when you are at the fag end of your career, maybe people like us who have retired, we are giving back to Chair Academy, our experiences. So at this point in time, this answer is not apt. But second thing that you mentioned about diversity, you expand that a bit more, right? So public services, the basic difference between whether you are an academician, whether you are a corporate in corporate sector, when you have to choose the civil services, the first thing is that you are joining a public service. You're keen on public service. That is the uniquest part about civil services. तो पब्लिक सर्विसेज में कई बार ये भी पूछते थे, पब्लिक सर्विस करनी थी तो यू शुड हैव बिकम अ लीडर, पॉलिटिकल, you should have joined politics.
Yes.
Somebody can ask you. So you can, find an apt reply to that, but वो पूछेगा नहीं ज़्यादा. So these are the 2-3 things which otherwise in terms of communication, in terms of your body language, in terms of your confidence, in terms of your fluency and the use of words, Shruti, I must say that you selected such rightmost words, to explain your point. That's your strength. We have assessed you as 70%, which ours is the highest. So you have begun with a good note in the morning, and any questions if you have.
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask one thing also, which sir asked about the IPS. So, do you think I can give that answer, or is
You
it
get the right
appropriate?
answer.
Yes.
May I please I share everything which the chairman has said. I myself am particularly pleased that you have given the foreign service as the second choice. You are the first candidate who has not given it as the third choice.
Yes, sir.
And but if you have given it as your second choice,
Yes, sir.
then for issues like Ukraine, you need to go a little deep into that.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So that is what I would like to say. Selection of words was mentioned, and that is a skill, and one of the essential skills required for a diplomat.
Yes, sir.
So don't change. My own advice is don't change your option. I'm joking.
Okay.
To you.
So once I wanted to ask sir, what would be a good answer to the question where you asked about is Russia one of the concerns why we have abstained?
Russia is the concern, which is the main concern.
Yes, sir.
Because the US has been putting pressure on us
Yes.
to vote with them. We have resisted that pressure. Why? Because of Russia, because of our dependence on Russians' arms imports, which are very important for us. So, as you said, national interest is the most important thing. So, our national interest is to stay neutral in this. What should we? In any case, I think it is an unjust war inflicted by the West on Russia.
Yes.
I'm not, you don't have to say so many words, but most of us in Delhi, the foreign service community, they see it in these terms only. So it is you are also on the right side of history. Though your Western media will tell you that you are, why is India not voting for us, this and that. But if you ask this question, then you say because of our national interest, because we import arms. And at this point, with China on our border, one side, the arms need spare.
Okay, sir. Yes.
Anything else, Shruti?
So you were saying something. Sir.
Shruti, I was telling that the question about the why IAS, why not IFS. Normally, it is not asked. This is again in that hazard category. And if it is asked, and the reason why it is not asked, that the interview board doesn't want to give any particular importance to any service. That's one. Number two, the perception of the candidate should not be like this, that this service is superior, this service is not so superior. You haven't got into any service. You can get anything, so why should you get disturbed about it? in case somebody asks, like it was asked today, the best thing would not to compare the services, which you did not, and take it on yourself. Sir, I am best suited. I thought my personality or my not even liking, I'm more suited for, or I'm not suited for the Indian police service, which you said. Without criticizing, sir, a lot of foreign, this is a lot of traveling, I want to be in India, this, that. Or my father said this, mother said this, no. Just take it on your own. You are more, I think, suitable for this particular service. So I thought that I'll do justice with that service if I get it.
You can use the word temperamentally, which is a fact. It's not like me. I'm temperamentally not suited to the police.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Temperamentally.
Right? Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
All the very best.
Thank you, sir.
And if you have done your means, Shruti, we are anxiously waiting to see your name in the list, final list.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.